Good morning, students. Here we come up with neural crest. Now this is a very important short note. Either it can be asked as simply write a short note on neural crest, or it can be asked as write derivatives of neural crest, or it can be asked as development of neural crest. Either of these three patterns. In either way, whatever question is asked, the answer will be the same. You have to mention all the derivatives of neural crest. Here we are going in slight detail about the development also. Otherwise, the short note will remain the same. Finally, it comes down to the derivatives of neural crest. So therefore, in the neural crest, we start with the development. The entire neural crest will develop from, this will be the surface ectoderm, this will be the endoderm, this already we have seen, and this is the neural tube. As the neural tube will develop initially, there will be separation of neural crest cells from the surface ectoderm and dorsal part of the neural tube in such a way that these neural crest cells, violet color I will show, initially they are separated from surface ectoderm and dorsal layer of neural tube, and this is how the neural crest cells initially will appear. This is the first step in appearance of neural crest. So they will develop from the neural folds. As the neural folds will join and form neural tube, they will lie in a wedge-shaped space which is present between ectoderm and dorsal part of neural tube. First step. Now this space will extend from cranial end of neural tube till caudal end of neural tube, remember. So therefore this neural crest cells, they are extending from almost midbrain portion, midbrain vesicle, till caudal end of the neural tube. Now second stage. Immediately after formation of neural tube, this wedge-shaped neural crest cells will divide into two equal halves, right and left. So therefore here it will divide into two equal halves, and these two equal halves, they will be present on dorsolateral side of the neural tube in the roof portion, dorsolateral side of neural tube in the roof portion. So therefore, this is how the neural crest cells will be arranged in second phase. So therefore, the neural crest cells will now be arranged in the dorsolateral roof of the neural tube. Now third stage. This neural crest cells, they are arranged in primitive segments at each and every segmental level. From, once again, cranial end of the neural tube, that is midbrain vesicle, till caudal end of neural tube. Now here, in the third phase, these neural crest cells, right and left, they are now known as primitive spinal ganglia. So the name will change into primitive spinal ganglia. So they will form the primitive spinal ganglia. Now what happens? Now each primitive spinal ganglia at each segmental level will divide into two different masses, ventral mass and dorsal mass. So in order to divide, in order to show that how they divide into two masses, we simply draw here. Please come on this side, we will draw here. These are the two, here we will draw, these are the two dorsal masses. We will draw here dorsal mass, and these are the two ventral masses. These are the two ventral masses. So each primitive spinal ganglion will divide into ventral mass and dorsal mass. And here we will complete the neural tube. So therefore this is the neural tube. So therefore now we will mention this as, here we will mention this as dorsal mass and this one as ventral mass. So remember that each primitive spinal ganglion is divided into dorsal mass and ventral mass. And now we come to the derivatives of neural crest. In order to understand the derivatives of neural crest, so therefore now the neural crest cells are arranged in the form of ventral mass and dorsal mass on right and left side. Now in order to understand the derivatives, we start with number one. the entire derivatives of dorsal mass will be, according to diagram, and you keep on mentioning in one sentence, the entire derivatives of dorsal mass will be, the first derivative will be, here we will write down, dorsal nerve root ganglion, or it is called spinal ganglia at all the levels. Second derivative, the second derivative will be, there will be sensory ganglia which are present in few cranial nerves, and these sensory ganglia are present on trigeminal, facial, so let me just write in now Roman numericals, trigeminal, then it will be present in the facial, then it will be present in glossopharyngeal, and then it will be present in the vagus cranial nerves. So these are the sensory ganglia which are present in these cranial nerves, and they will also develop from dorsal mass. So dorsal mass will develop into these two structures, dorsal nerve root ganglion, or it is also known as, this ganglion will be also known as the spinal ganglion. And remember, this is sensory ganglia. Sensory ganglia related to trigeminal, facial, glossopharyngeal and vagus nerves. Now here, the cells of dorsal mass will differentiate into neuroblast, spongioblast and pluripotent cells, pluripotent stem cells. So therefore, the cells of dorsal mass once again, as they differentiate into neuroblast, spongioblast and pluripotent cells, pluripotent neural crest cells, the whole name given is pluripotent neural crest cells, then the neuroblast will first differentiate. And how this neuroblast will differentiate? They will differentiate and develop into these two structures. And initially, these neuroblast cells, as they differentiate, I will just take the help of yellow color to show here. These neuroblast cells in the dorsal mass, initially, what will they develop into? They will develop into one neuron, nerve cell body, one process which will pass peripherally, that will end in the sensory receptor area, in the various receptors present in the body, and one will be central process. Now these central process will pass in the neural tube, that is in the future spinal cord. So therefore it becomes bipolar. Then what will happen? This each neuroblast cell, as I have drawn, these two processes will join and then enter the cell body. So therefore these two processes, now what will happen to these two processes? The two processes will join with each other and then it will enter the cell body in this way. So in this way it becomes, from bipolar it becomes pseudo-unipolar. This is the shape of the neurons present in the dorsal nerve root ganglia or spinal ganglia, as well as most of the sensory ganglia of the few cranial nerves, that is trigeminal, facial, glossopharyngeal and vagus nerves. In this way the shape of the neuroblast cells will become pseudo-unipolar. Remember, few cranial nerves, that will be vestibulocochlear, and also there will be the olfactory receptors and also the retinal. So retinal, olfactory receptors, they will retain their bipolar characteristic features. They will retain their bipolar characteristic features of the neurons. Otherwise, majority of the sensory ganglia of the cranial nerves will have pseudo-unipolar appearance. This is how the pseudo-unipolar will develop. So these are the neurons that develop from neuroblast cells of dorsal mass, and they will develop into these two structures. Now we come across to the second structure, and that second structure will be known as the spongioblast. Now these spongioblasts, here we will write down structure number, let us take in the entire sequence structure number 3 and 4, but basically it is known as the second structure because this will be structure number 1 and this will be 3 and 4 structure number 2. As structure number 1 is developed from neuroblast, this will develop, 3 and 4 will develop from spongioblast. So initially spongioblast, the spongioblast cells will develop into two very important cells, and they will be known as capsular cells, which will be present around the nerve cell body, the body of the neuron, and there will be development of Schwann cells. These Schwann cells will develop into myelin sheath of the peripheral nervous system as well as neuroenamel sheath. Please note down, Schwann cells will develop into myelin sheath of peripheral nervous system as well as the neuroenamel sheath. Now, where are these two cells present? These two cells are present. This is the neuron. So, therefore, the capsular cell will be present. If I show this cell with blue, then these capsular cells will be present surrounding the cell body of this neuron. In this way, the capsular cells are present. Same way, Schwann cells, they will be seen, they are present on the peripheral nervous system in this way, and they will form myelin sheath as well as neuroenamel sheath. So according to the diagram, these are the capsular cells which are present around the body of the neuron, and these are the Schwann cells. So two structures, the upper two structures they have developed from neuroblast, and the lower two structures 3 and 4, capsular cells and Schwann cells, they have developed from spongioblast. Last structure developing from dorsal mass. See here, we are taking dorsal mass. So the last structure will be from the dorsal mass. It will lead to development of, once again here, pluripotent. Now here we will give sequence 5. So pluripotent neural crest cells. These are the pluripotent neural crest cells, structure number 5. These pluripotent neural crest cells will develop into, now here we can show in various arrows, odontoblast, very important. These odontoblasts, they will form dentin of the teeth. Then they will develop into leptomeninges. These leptomeninges will form arachnoid mater and pia mater. Leptomeninges, arachnoid mater and pia mater, meninges. Then they will develop into melanoblast. These melanoblasts will develop into melanocytes, melanoblast, melanin pigments, the melanocytes. And they will develop into the various cartilage cells which are present in branchial arches. Very, very important. So, the pluripotent neural crest cells from the dorsal mass will develop into cartilage cells present in branchial arches. Meckel's cartilage, Reichert's cartilage, that is cartilage of first arch, second arch. What are the structures that develop in the form of skeletal elements? Those skeletal elements are developed from pluripotent neural crest cells. So these are the structures. Straight away you have to mention, you have to write down in one sentence. Structures developing from pluripotent neural crest cells. They are odontoblast, which develop into dentin of the teeth. Leptomeninges, pia mater, arachnoid mater, melanoblast, which will develop into melanocytes, and cartilages of the branchial arches. So these are the list of structures that have developed from the dorsal mass of the neural crest. Now ventral mass. Now from the ventral mass of the neural crest, the following structures will develop. And what are those following structures? They will be, we will take the help on this side will come down. They will be, the first structure will be sympathochromaffin body, or they are called organs, sympathochromaffin organ. Either it is called body or organ. They are small masses of body or small masses. So sympathochromaffin organs or body, they are the initial development of the ventral mass. Then what will happen? Then it will divide into two segments. Number 1, sympathetic, and number 2, chromaffin bodies. These chromaffin bodies will be known as pheochromocytes or chromaffin bodies. First we take sympathetic. Now what will this sympathetic organs, the sympathetic mass of sympathochromaffin organs or body will develop into? Obviously it will develop into number 1. Now here we will show in various arrows. So let us rub over here. I will just rub on this side so that we are able to write down and draw down properly. From sympathetic, I will show this in the form of a sympathetic chain. Now this is the sympathetic chain which you can show it. So therefore, this sympathetic chain, cervical, thoracic, lumbar, sacral sympathetic chain will entirely develop from sympathochromaffin body. Then second structure, the second structure to develop will be here, we can show the various parasympathetic neurons which are present in the form of ganglia. And where are they present? In the head and neck. So which are the peripheral parasympathetic ganglia which are located in the head and neck? They are, in dissection we have seen this ganglia, so they are number 1, ciliary ganglia, number 2, pterygopalatine ganglia, number 3, submandibular ganglia, and number 4, otic ganglia. So these are the 4 peripheral parasympathetic ganglia in head and neck: ciliary, submandibular, pterygopalatine and otic ganglia, which will develop from the same sympathochromaffin organ. Please note down. So sympathetic chain plus the parasympathetic peripheral ganglia which are present in the head and neck. Now we come to chromaffin segment. In the chromaffin segment, these chromaffin cells, they have large granules in the cytoplasm which will take up the various spatial stain to show that they will exhibit brownish color granules. Because of this brownish color granules in the cytoplasm, the cells will be known as chromaffin cells or pheochromocytes. Then these chromaffin cells, they will migrate in various regions of the body. And what will they develop into? Then they will develop into, let me again take the use of blue color, they will develop into one very important portion that will be known as the adrenal medulla. So the medulla of suprarenal gland, adrenal gland, will develop from the chromaffin part of sympathochromaffin organ. Remember, the medullary portion of adrenal gland. Number 2, they will develop into paraganglia. And what are these paraganglia? The paraganglia are those structures which are present in the form of small cells, collection of cells around the sympathetic chain. Around the sympathetic chain, which we have drawn here, there will be collection of various cells, and these cells will be known as paraganglia. Third structure here, very important, it will develop into the origin of inferior mesenteric artery is from the ventral surface of the abdominal aorta. So surrounding the inferior mesenteric artery, there will be a U-shaped collection which will be known as para-aortic body. So the para-aortic body, U-shaped collection around inferior mesenteric artery, para-aortic body. So this para-aortic body is derived from chromaffin cells. So therefore, after its differentiation into cells of adrenal medulla, then the paraganglia cells and para-aortic bodies, remember these two structures are often asked in 1-mark question answer. We come down to the last variety. Now after formation of these 3 structures from chromaffin cells, the last will be these chromaffin cells will then settle down in the respiratory and alimentary system. In which form? In the respiratory and alimentary system, they will settle down, the respiratory and alimentary system, they will settle down in the form of, they are called argentaffin cells. They are called argentaffin cells, remember. And also they are known as enterochromaffin cells. So in respiratory system as well as alimentary system, they will be known as enterochromaffin cells as well as the argentaffin cells. So these are the cells, these are the structures which have completely developed from ventral mass. Remember, sympathochromaffin organs or sympathochromaffin body, then the sympathetic chain and the parasympathetic ganglia which are present in the head and neck. You have to just mention this. Then we come down to chromaffin. In the chromaffin, we have written down cells of adrenal medulla, paraganglia, para-aortic bodies, and argentaffin cells and enterochromaffin cells which have settled down in the mucosa of alimentary system as well as that of the respiratory system. All these structures in sequence, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That means these are straight 10 derivatives from the ventral mass. And when you note down these structures from the dorsal mass, you come down to all these derivatives. In this way, the derivatives have to be mentioned. Now, we come to the third stage. Still, the derivatives are not over. The third stage will be the entire neural crest in the rostral region, in the rostral direction. So the entire neural crest in the rostral direction, here I will just mention neural crest, and then I will write here in the rostral direction. So entire neural crest in the rostral direction, they will develop into the following. What will they develop into? They will develop into, number one, the first statement is very important. They will develop into the olfactory placoids, also the optic capsule. Remember, these are the derivatives: olfactory placoids, optic capsule. These structures we have seen during development of the face. Similarly, they will develop into Rathke's pouch. Rathke's pouch will lead to development of the part of hypophysis cerebri. Similarly, they will develop into, there will be development of the various cartilages of the facial architecture. The various cartilages of the facial architecture, which I have already discussed with you, that means of the various pharyngeal arches. Similarly, it will also lead to the development of the roof of the nasopharynx. The roof of the nasopharynx will also develop from these regions, that is the rostral part of the neural crest, which I am writing down. These are the structures. At the same time, now, there will be development of parafollicular cells. Parafollicular cells of ultimobranchial pouch. If you recollect the branchial arches, pharyngeal arches. So parafollicular cells will also develop from these neural crest cells. So these group of derivatives, that belong to the head and neck region, and therefore this is the first set of derivatives. Now second set of derivatives. In the second set of derivatives, that is the derivatives of neural crest in the rostral region, in the second set, we come across to, let us take connective tissue component. So the connective tissue component, which will be known as the stroma. The connective tissue component, stroma, of various important organs. Which are those organs? They are thyroid gland, then we come across to parathyroid gland, then we come across to thymus gland, and then we come across to the salivary glands. So please note down, the connective tissue component of all the four glands, thyroid, parathyroid, thymus and salivary, will develop from the cells of the neural crest present in the rostral region. So here this is the same continuation of the derivatives of neural crest, same continuation. Then we come down to number 3. Let us note down over here. We'll take the space, we'll utilize over here. Number 3, we will come down to the, if you recollect in branchial arches, the ectodermal clefts. There were 4 ectodermal clefts on either side, right and left side, derivatives of ectodermal cleft. In the derivatives of ectodermal clefts, I had started with epibranchial placoids, if you recollect. So epibranchial placoids, here you have to mention the epibranchial placoids will develop as third derivative from the neural crest cells of the rostral region. What will these epibranchial placoids develop into? How many ectodermal clefts are there on either side? 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Between the top 6 arches, of course the 5th arch will disappear. So out of that, the first ectodermal cleft, there will be development of epibranchial placoids. Epibranchial placoids will develop in all the clefts. But from the first one, the epibranchial placoids will develop into geniculate ganglion, which is present in which cranial nerve? It is present on facial nerve. So geniculate ganglion, which is present on facial nerve, will develop from the epibranchial placoid of the first ectodermal cleft. Now, second ectodermal cleft. Epibranchial placoid developing from second ectodermal cleft will develop into inferior vestibular ganglion of which nerve? Glossopharyngeal nerve. This is very important. And third, now the epibranchial placoids, they develop from the third branchial cleft. They will develop into nodose ganglion. The nodose ganglion which is present in the vagus nerve. Nodose ganglion of vagus nerve, which will develop from epibranchial placoid of the third branchial cleft. Now we come across to the fourth derivative. Let us write down here the fourth derivative. So this was third, this is fourth, this was first, and this was second. The last one. Now in the last one, very important, if you recollect the otic, how the development of the internal ear takes place, middle ear and external ear, in which when we started with the development of internal ear, which I have discussed with you, it started with the development of otic capsule, if you recollect. And this otic capsule, you have to mention, this otic capsule will develop from the neural crest cells of rostral region as the fourth derivative. From this otic capsule, it will develop into otic vesicle. This otic vesicle will develop into membranous labyrinth of internal ear. And then gradually, it goes through the process of development of the various segments of internal ear, which we will not go into detail. But finally, from these otic vesicles, it will develop into, this is very important, it will develop into vestibular ganglia as well as cochlear ganglia. So therefore, the vestibular as well as cochlear ganglia of vestibulocochlear nerve will develop from otic vesicle, that is otic capsule. This was the last derivative of the cells of neural crest rostral region. Now, if you consider right from the starting, please come on this side, we'll just rotate it. All the derivatives of dorsal mass, plus all the derivatives of ventral mass, plus the entire neural crest derivatives of the rostral. When you add all these derivatives, simply if you add these derivatives and mention it in one sentence, this will complete your short note of neural crest. Thank you very much.